Marcus Chen rubbed his tired eyes and glanced at the clock on his computer screen. 11:47 p.m. Another late-night debugging code for the military satellite communication system he had been working on for months. The coffee had long gone cold and his small apartment felt stuffy despite the air conditioning running at full blast. He stretched his arms above his head, feeling the familiar ache in his shoulders from hunching over the keyboard for hours. The project deadline was approaching fast, and the pressure from his superiors at the defense contractor was mounting. This new encryption protocol could revolutionize how Earth's military forces communicated across vast distances, potentially giving humanity a significant advantage in space operations. Marcus saved his work and decided to call it a night. He shuffled toward his bedroom, switching off lights as he went. The apartment was quiet except for the gentle hum of electronics and the distant sound of traffic from the street below. Living on the 15th floor of a downtown building had its perks, but the city never truly slept. As he changed into his pajamas, Marcus noticed an odd shimmer in the air near his bedroom window. He paused, wondering if his tired mind was playing tricks on him. The shimmer seemed to ripple like heat waves rising from hot asphalt, but the room was cool. He blinked hard and looked again, but the strange distortion remained. Suddenly, the air itself seemed to tear open with a sound like fabric ripping. A hole appeared in the middle of his bedroom, roughly the size of a doorway filled with swirling blue and silver light. Marcus stumbled backward, his heart racing as adrenaline flooded his system. This had to be a dream. There was no other explanation. Two figures stepped through the impossible opening. They were humanoid, but clearly not human. Standing about 6 feet tall, they had pale, almost translucent skin that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Their features were sharp and angular, with large eyes that reflected light like a cat's. Most striking of all, they appeared to be identical twins, dressed in form-fitting suits that looked like they were made from liquid metal. The beings looked around Marcus's bedroom with expressions of confusion and mild panic. They spoke to each other in a language that sounded like musical chimes mixed with whispered wind. Their voices were harmonious, almost hypnotic, but clearly urgent. Marcus found his voice, though it came out as barely a whisper. "Who are you? What do you want?" Both aliens turned toward him simultaneously, their large eyes widening in surprise. One of them stepped forward and raised what looked like a small device, pointing it at Marcus. Blue light scanned over him from head to toe, and Marcus felt a strange tingling sensation. "Human," the alien said in perfect English, though its voice carried an odd echo. "We did not expect to find a human here. This complicates matters significantly. You can speak English?" Marcus managed to ask, still pressed against the wall behind him. The second alien joined its twin, looking equally concerned. The translation matrix adapts quickly to local languages. "We apologize for the intrusion, human. We were not supposed to materialize in an occupied dwelling." Marcus noticed that while their mouths moved when they spoke, the words seemed to come from everywhere at once, as if the air itself was speaking. "Are you reading my mind?" "Not reading exactly," the first alien explained. "Our communication technology interfaces with neural patterns to facilitate understanding. It is how we learn your language so rapidly." The impossible portal behind them flickered and began to shrink. Both aliens turned back to look at it with obvious alarm. They exchanged rapid words in their musical language, and Marcus caught the edge of panic in their voices. "The quantum tunnel is destabilizing," one of them said to Marcus, as if he would understand. "We have perhaps minutes before it collapses entirely." "Quantum tunnel?" Marcus echoed. Despite the surreal situation, his engineering mind latched onto the technical term. "You're talking about some kind of dimensional portal?" Both aliens stared at him with renewed interest. "You understand quantum mechanics?" the second one asked. "I'm a software engineer specializing in quantum encryption," Marcus replied, surprised by his own calmness. The initial shock was wearing off, replaced by intense curiosity. "I work on military communication systems." The aliens exchanged a meaningful look. The portal behind them was now noticeably smaller and flickering more rapidly. "Human," the first alien said urgently, "we may require your assistance. Our return path is failing, and without proper stabilization we may be stranded in your dimensional space." "My name is Marcus," he said automatically, "and I'm not sure how I could possibly help with interdimensional travel. Quantum principles remain consistent across dimensional boundaries," the second alien explained quickly. Your understanding of quantum systems may be exactly what we need to recalibrate our transport matrix. The portal was now half its original size and pulsing erratically. Marcus could see swirling energy patterns within it that reminded him of the quantum field equations he worked with daily, though infinitely more complex. "If I help you," Marcus said, his mind racing, "will you answer some questions? I need to understand what's happening here." "We will explain what we can," the first alien agreed. "But time is critical. Each moment of delay increases the probability of complete tunnel collapse." Marcus looked at the shrinking portal, then at the two beings who had literally stepped out of science fiction into his bedroom. Every rational part of his mind screamed that this was impossible, but the evidence was right in front of him. The quantum physicist in him was fascinated by the implications. "All right," he said, stepping away from the wall. "What do you need me to do?" The second alien produced a device that looked like a crystal tablet, its surface covered in symbols that seemed to move and shift. "We need to input stabilization algorithms. Your quantum encryption knowledge may help us adapt our calculations to the unique properties of your dimensional matrix." As Marcus approached the device, he noticed that the symbols on its surface began to change, reshaping themselves into mathematical equations he recognized. The alien technology was somehow translating itself into concepts his human mind could comprehend. "This is incredible," he breathed, looking at equations that described quantum states in ways he had never imagined possible. "Your mathematics is centuries ahead of ours." "Centuries ahead in some ways," the first alien said. "But your species has developed certain approaches to quantum manipulation that are uniquely effective. Your military applications in particular show remarkable innovation." The portal flickered more violently, and both aliens looked increasingly worried. Marcus realized that whatever was about to happen, his mundane Tuesday night had just become the most important night of his life. The fate of these beings might rest in his hands, and he had no idea what consequences his decision might have for humanity. Marcus studied the crystalline device as equations flowed across its surface like living mathematics. The symbols transformed into recognizable quantum formulas, but with additional variables he had never seen before. His hands trembled slightly as he reached for the device. "The fundamental principle is quantum entanglement across dimensional barriers," the first alien explained, its voice carrying an urgent tone. "But your dimensional space has unique properties that require specific calibration." "What kind of properties?" Marcus asked, taking the device. It felt warm and seemed to pulse with energy that made his fingertips tingle. The second alien gestured toward the failing portal. "Your species exists in a dimension with unusually high quantum coherence. Most civilizations develop in spaces where quantum effects degrade rapidly at macro scales, but Earth maintains quantum properties at much larger sizes than should be possible." Marcus looked up from the device, intrigued despite the crisis. "You're saying our reality is different from yours?" "Very different," the first alien confirmed. "It is why your technology development has been so rapid despite your relatively young civilization. Your brains naturally process quantum information in ways most species cannot." The portal shrank again, now barely large enough for a person to crawl through. Marcus felt the pressure mounting as he examined the stabilization equations. They were similar to the encryption algorithms he worked with, but operating on principles that seemed to bend the laws of physics as he understood them. "I think I see the problem," Marcus said, his fingers moving across the device's surface. The interface responded to his touch, allowing him to modify the equations directly. "Your calculations assume a standard quantum decay rate, but if our dimension maintains coherence longer, you need to adjust for that." Both aliens watched intently as Marcus worked. He modified several variables, applying principles from his encryption work to the dimensional mathematics. It was like translating between different programming languages, finding common ground between human and alien approaches to quantum manipulation. "Remarkable," the second alien whispered. "You are correcting calculations our best scientists took months to develop." "Different perspective," Marcus replied, making another adjustment. "Sometimes an outsider can see solutions that experts miss." The portal stabilized slightly, growing larger and steadier. The swirling energy within it shifted from chaotic turbulence to more organized patterns. Marcus felt a surge of satisfaction as his modifications took effect. "It is working," the first alien said with obvious relief. "The tunnel is stabilizing." But their celebration was premature. Alarms began blaring from somewhere beyond the portal. and urgent voices called out in the aliens' musical language. Both beings tensed, looking back through the dimensional opening with expressions of fear. "What's happening?" Marcus asked, still holding the stabilization device. "Enforcement patrol," the second alien explained grimly. "Our unauthorized departure has been detected. They are coming to retrieve us. Is that bad?" The aliens exchanged worried glances. "Very bad," the first one said. "Not just for us, but potentially for your entire species. Contact between our civilizations is strictly forbidden." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "Forbidden? Why?" "The Galactic Collective has rules about interfering with developing species," the second alien explained. "Contact before a civilization reaches certain technological milestones is considered contamination. The penalty is severe." "What kind of penalty?" Marcus asked, though he suspected he did not want to know the answer. "Quarantine protocols," the first alien said quietly. "Your world would be isolated, prevented from advancing beyond your current level. Some species never recover from such restrictions." The voices beyond the portal grew louder and more urgent. Marcus could see lights moving in the distance through the dimensional opening, suggesting approaching vehicles or beings. "How long do we have?" Marcus asked. "Minutes, perhaps less," the second alien replied. "We must return immediately and hope the temporal displacement covers our tracks." "Temporal displacement?" "When we return, the quantum tunnel will collapse in a way that creates a small time distortion," the first alien explained quickly. "Events of the last hour may be erased from the timeline, preventing the contamination from being detected." Marcus stared at them in shock. "You mean this whole encounter might never have happened?" "It is the only way to protect your species from the consequences of our accident," the second alien said sadly. "We are sorry, Marcus Chen. You have shown us that human ingenuity is remarkable, but we cannot risk your civilization's future." The portal was now stable, but the approaching lights were getting brighter. Marcus could make out the silhouettes of what looked like spacecraft moving toward the dimensional opening. His mind raced as he considered the implications. "Wait," he said suddenly. "What if there was another way? What if the contact wasn't accidental?" Both aliens looked at him with confusion. "What do you mean?" "Your people think this was an accident, right? An unauthorized portal that opened in a random location?" Marcus's engineering mind was working furiously. "But what if we could make it look like something else?" "Such as?" Marcus held up the stabilization device, its surface still displaying the modified equations. "What if this looked like a natural phenomenon? A quantum anomaly that your people discovered rather than caused?" The first alien's eyes widened as it understood. "A dimensional rift that occurred without our intervention? Something that would require investigation rather than punishment?" "Exactly," Marcus said, his excitement growing. "Your people would need to study it, maybe even send research teams. It would be legitimate scientific contact instead of contamination." The second alien shook its head. "The temporal signatures would reveal the truth. Our technology leaves distinctive markers that cannot be disguised." "But what if we overwrote those markers?" Marcus suggested, manipulating the device's interface. "What if we use the dimensional collapse to create genuine quantum turbulence that mask the artificial signatures?" Both aliens stared at the equations Marcus was creating. The mathematical elegance of his solution was undeniable, but the implications were staggering. "You are proposing to falsify the quantum evidence of our presence," the first alien said slowly. "I'm proposing we create a legitimate reason for future contact," Marcus corrected. "A natural phenomenon that just happens to connect our dimensions. Your people investigate, discover humanity is more advanced than expected, and contact becomes inevitable rather than forbidden." The lights beyond the portal were much closer now, and urgent calls echoed through the dimensional opening. The aliens had to make a decision immediately. "It could work," the second alien admitted, "but the risk is enormous. If we are discovered, the consequences for both our species would be catastrophic. And if we do nothing, humanity gets quarantined anyway," Marcus pointed out. "At least this way we have a chance for a real future." The first alien reached for the device. "Show us exactly what you propose." Marcus's fingers flew across the crystalline surface, modifying the stabilization algorithms in ways that would create a specific type of quantum collapse. Instead of simply closing the portal, it would leave behind residual energy patterns that looked like a naturally occurring dimensional anomaly. When the portal collapses, it will create quantum echoes that suggest an ongoing dimensional instability, Marcus explained. Your people will have to investigate to ensure it doesn't spread. When they do, they'll find evidence of human quantum technology that's much more advanced than it should be, creating a mystery that demands investigation. The second alien mused. Clever. The approaching spacecraft were now visible through the portal, sleek vessels that seemed to bend light around their edges. Marcus could see figures moving within them, clearly searching for the missing aliens. We must decide now, the first alien said urgently. Do we trust a human to save both our species, or do we accept the safe path of temporal erasure? Marcus held his breath, realizing that the next few seconds would determine the fate of humanity's place in the galaxy. Everything he had worked for, everything his species might become, hung in the balance of this impossible moment. The moment stretched like an eternity as the three beings stared at each other. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat thundering in his ears while the alien enforcement patrol drew closer through the dimensional portal. The crystalline device in his hands pulsed with warm energy, waiting for a decision that would reshape the future of two civilizations. We choose trust, the first alien said suddenly, extending its hand toward Marcus. Initiate your protocol. Marcus nodded grimly and activated the modified equations. The device's surface erupted in brilliant light as quantum calculations rewrote themselves across multiple dimensional layers. The portal began to fluctuate wildly, but instead of simple collapse, it started generating the exact energy patterns Marcus had designed. Beautiful, the second alien whispered, watching the mathematical transformation. You are creating genuine quantum turbulence that will mask our technological signatures perfectly. The approaching spacecraft suddenly stopped as their sensors detected the changing portal dynamics. Marcus could hear confused voices calling out in the musical alien language, clearly puzzled by the unexpected readings. They think the dimensional rift is expanding. The first alien translated with satisfaction. The patrol leader is ordering them to maintain safe distance while they analyze the phenomenon. Marcus felt a surge of pride as his plan unfolded exactly as predicted. The artificial portal was transforming into something that looked like a natural dimensional anomaly, complete with quantum echoes that suggested ongoing instability, requiring scientific investigation. How long until the collapse is complete? Marcus asked, monitoring the energy patterns on the device. Approximately 3 minutes, the second alien replied. But we must return before then, or the temporal displacement will not properly mask our presence here. Marcus hesitated, realizing this might be his last chance to communicate with representatives of an advanced alien civilization. Before you go, I need to know something. When your people investigate this anomaly, what will they be looking for? Evidence of quantum manipulation that exceeds the expected technological level of the local species, the first alien explained. If they find proof that humans can perform calculations like the ones you just demonstrated, it will trigger a formal contact protocol. What kind of proof would convince them? The second alien considered carefully. Quantum encryption systems that operate at dimensional boundaries, communication networks that maintain coherence across vast distances, evidence of theoretical understanding that approaches our own level. Marcus smiled, thinking of the military satellite system he had been working on. I think I can arrange that. Marcus, the first alien said seriously. You must understand the magnitude of what you are attempting. If your species proves ready for contact, you will be invited to join the Galactic Collective. But if you are found lacking, the quarantine protocols will be permanent. What does it mean to join the collective? Access to technologies beyond your current imagination, the second alien explained. Faster than light travel, dimensional manipulation, energy systems that could transform your entire civilization, but also responsibilities that many species find overwhelming. What kind of responsibilities? Protection of developing worlds, mediation of conflicts between species, contributing to the collective knowledge and defense of the galaxy. Some civilizations thrive in such roles, others collapse under the pressure. Marcus absorbed this information while monitoring the portal's transformation. The enforcement patrol had withdrawn to a safe distance, but he could see them deploying scanning equipment to analyze the anomaly. How will I know when the investigation begins? Marcus asked. Quantum resonance detectors will begin picking up scanning beams within 72 hours, the first alien said. The initial survey will be subtle, but your military satellite monitoring system should detect the energy signatures. And if they find what they're looking for? First contact protocols will begin within one standard week, the second alien replied. A research vessel will establish communication through the dimensional anomaly, requesting permission to study the phenomenon from your side. The portal was now generating massive amounts of quantum turbulence, and Marcus could see genuine concern on the faces of the enforcement patrol. His deception was working perfectly, but time was running out. There is something else you must know, the first alien said urgently. Not all members of the collective will welcome humanity's advancement. There are factions that prefer to keep developing species isolated. Why? Resources influence fear of competition, the second alien explained. If humanity proves as innovative as you have demonstrated tonight, some will see you as a threat rather than an ally. Marcus felt a chill of apprehension. Are you saying we'll have enemies before we even make contact? Potentially, yes. But you will also have allies. Our faction believes in nurturing promising species rather than suppressing them. Tonight's events have convinced us that humanity belongs among the stars. The portal began its final collapse sequence, the quantum turbulence reaching crescendo levels that would leave exactly the right kind of residual evidence. Marcus realized he had perhaps 30 seconds left with these beings who had changed his understanding of the universe. One last question, Marcus said quickly. If your people approve contact, how will we know it's legitimate and not some elaborate test or trick? Both aliens smiled, an expression that somehow transcended species barriers. They will ask about the mathematics of dimensional stability, the first alien said. When they do, share the equations you modified tonight. Only someone who has actually performed cross-dimensional quantum manipulation could create those specific algorithms. The calculations will serve as proof that we have already made contact, the second alien added, and your ability to understand and modify our technology will demonstrate that humanity is ready for advancement. The portal was now collapsing rapidly, reality folding in on itself in ways that hurt to look at directly. The alien stepped toward the shrinking opening but paused at the threshold. Marcus Chen, the first alien said solemnly, you have shown courage and ingenuity that gives us hope for your species. Use the next 72 hours wisely. Prepare your people for what is coming. How do I prepare humanity for first contact with aliens? Marcus asked, feeling overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task. Begin with those who can understand the science, the second alien advised. Your military contacts, fellow researchers, anyone who can verify the quantum anomalies when they appear. The more people who witness the initial phenomena, the harder it will be for skeptics to dismiss the evidence. The portal was now barely large enough for the aliens to pass through. In the distance, Marcus could see the enforcement patrol repositioning their equipment, clearly treating this as a natural phenomenon requiring extended study, rather than an unauthorized contact incident. Remember, the first alien called out as it stepped through the closing portal, you have given both our species a chance for a better future. Do not waste it. The second alien paused at the very edge of the collapsing dimensional opening, and Marcus, when formal contact begins, ask them about Project Unity. It will identify us as your allies in the debates to come. With that, both aliens vanished through the portal. The dimensional rift collapsed in a spectacular display of quantum fire, leaving behind exactly the kind of residual energy patterns that would puzzle and intrigue alien scientists for days to come. Marcus stood alone in his bedroom, holding the now dormant crystalline device. The familiar walls and furniture looked strange and ordinary after witnessing the impossible. He walked to his window and looked out at the sleeping city, knowing that in 72 hours, everything would change. Somewhere in another dimension, alien scientists were already beginning to analyze a mysterious quantum anomaly. Soon, they would discover evidence of human technological capability that would force them to reconsider Earth's place in the galactic community. Marcus smiled grimly and headed back to his computer. He had work to do, preparations to make, and a species to prepare for their first steps into a larger universe. The next 3 days would determine whether humanity took its place among the stars or remained forever isolated on a single world. Marcus spent the next 18 hours in a state of controlled panic, alternating between periods of intense focus and moments of doubt about his sanity. The crystalline device sat on his desk like a piece of impossible evidence, occasionally flickering with residual energy that confirmed the previous night's events had been real. By Thursday afternoon, He had made a decision that would either save his career or destroy it completely. He encrypted his most recent quantum research files, including the satellite communication system he had been developing, and prepared to share them with the one person who might believe his incredible story. Dr. Sarah Mitchell had been his quantum physics professor at MIT and was now the lead researcher at the government's Advanced Physics Laboratory. More importantly, she was the only person Marcus knew who would look at evidence first and ask questions about impossibility later. Marcus called her secure line at exactly 3 p.m. "Sarah, it's Marcus Chen. I need to meet with you immediately. I have something that will change everything we think we know about physics." "That's quite a claim, Marcus. What kind of breakthrough are we talking about?" "The kind that involves contact with an extraterrestrial civilization and dimensional travel technology," Marcus said, deciding that subtle hints would waste precious time. The line was quiet for several seconds. "Marcus, have you been getting enough sleep? The pressure from that military contract has been intense. Sarah, I'm going to send you encrypted files containing quantum equations that describe dimensional manipulation. Look at them. Run the mathematics and tell me if they could have been developed with current human knowledge." "All right," she said carefully. "Send me what you have. But Marcus, if this is some kind of stress-induced break from reality, we need to get you help." Marcus transmitted the files and waited. He knew that Sarah's brilliant mind would recognize the implications immediately, even if she couldn't initially accept the source of the information. His phone rang 12 minutes later. "Where did you get these equations?" Sarah's voice was tight with controlled excitement. "Can you verify their authenticity?" "Marcus, these calculations describe quantum effects that we can barely theorize about, let alone manipulate. The mathematical framework alone represents decades of advancement beyond our current understanding. The applications are staggering." "That's not what I asked. Are they real?" "The mathematics is absolutely sound. More than sound. It's elegant in ways that suggest fundamental insights into the nature of reality itself. But Marcus, no human team could have developed this. The conceptual leaps required are simply too vast." Marcus felt a wave of relief mixed with terror. "Sarah, I need you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. In approximately 54 hours, quantum resonance detectors around the globe are going to pick up scanning beams from an extraterrestrial source. Marcus, just listen. The scans will be focused on major urban areas and military installations. They'll be looking for evidence of advanced quantum manipulation technology. When they find it, formal first contact protocols will begin. You're talking about alien invasion, not invasion. Evaluation. There's a galactic civilization out there, and they have rules about when younger species are ready for contact. If we can prove we're advanced enough, we get invited to join them. If not, we get quarantined forever." Sarah was quiet for a long moment. "Assuming for the sake of argument that you're not having a complete psychological break, how do you know all this?" Marcus took a deep breath and told her everything. The midnight portal, the alien twins, the emergency stabilization, and the plan to fake a natural dimensional anomaly. As he spoke, he could hear Sarah's breathing become more rapid. "You're telling me that you personally prevented humanity from being quarantined by helping aliens fake a quantum phenomenon?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you. And now we have less than 54 hours to make sure our species looks ready for galactic citizenship when they come calling." "This is insane, Marcus. But these equations, there's no way you could have created them yourself. They incorporate principles that we haven't even discovered yet, which means either I'm telling the truth or I've developed the most elaborate delusion in human history." "Sarah, we need to prepare for those scans. Can you get access to the government's quantum detection networks?" "I have security clearance for the early warning systems, yes. But Marcus, if this is real, shouldn't we be alerting world leaders? The United Nations? Someone with actual authority? And tell them what? That aliens are coming in 2 days to test whether humanity is smart enough to join their club. How long do you think it would take for that information to leak? How would the public react?" Sarah considered this soberly. "Mass panic, probably. Economic collapse, social unrest, possible military responses that could make us look aggressive rather than advanced." "Exactly. We need to handle this quietly, at least until we know whether first contact is going to happen. Can you monitor the detection networks without raising alarms?" "I think so. The systems are automated, and I can set up additional monitoring protocols that look like routine maintenance checks." Marcus felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. "Good. When the scans start, we need to document everything. Energy signatures, transmission patterns, duration, and intensity. We need proof that this is happening. What about the quantum technology they'll be looking for? You said they want evidence of our advancement. That's where my military project comes in, Marcus explained. The satellite communication system I've been developing uses quantum encryption across multiple dimensional layers. It's exactly the kind of technology they'll recognize as advanced. Can you get it operational in time? It's already operational. I've been testing it for weeks. But Sarah, we need to make sure other quantum projects are active too. The more evidence they find of human quantum manipulation, the better our chances. I can reach out to colleagues at other research facilities, Sarah said thoughtfully. There are several projects that could be made more visible if necessary. Quantum computing arrays, particle accelerators, dimensional research experiments. Do it, but be subtle. We don't want to tip anyone off about what's really happening. Marcus, there's something else we need to consider. If these aliens are as advanced as you say, they'll also be scanning for military applications. Nuclear weapons, defense systems, space-based assets. Marcus felt a chill of concern. You think they might see us as a threat? I think they might see us as potentially dangerous. Most species probably don't develop quantum encryption specifically for military communications. That might work for us or against us, depending on their perspective. The aliens I met said there are factions in their civilization that don't want younger species to advance. If the evaluation team includes members of those factions, then we need to be very careful about how we present ourselves, Sarah finished. Advanced enough to qualify for contact, but not so militarized that we look like a future threat. Marcus realized that the challenge was even more complex than he had initially understood. They weren't just trying to prove human intelligence. They were trying to navigate alien politics and present humanity in the best possible light. Sarah, there's one more thing. The aliens told me to ask about Project Unity when formal contact begins. They said it would identify them as allies in whatever debates are coming. So you have friends on the other side? 2 of them at least. But apparently that's not guaranteed to be enough. Sarah was quiet for several seconds, and Marcus could almost hear her brilliant mind processing all the implications. Marcus, if even half of what you're telling me is true, the next few days are going to determine the entire future of human civilization. I know. The question is, are you willing to help me save our species? I'm in, Sarah said without hesitation. But we're going to need more than just the 2 of us. Do you have contacts in the military? People who can verify that our quantum systems are as advanced as we claim? Marcus smiled for the first time in hours. I know exactly who to call. As he hung up the phone, Marcus realized that the hardest part wasn't going to be proving humanity's technological advancement. It was going to be convincing an alien evaluation team that Earth deserved a place among the stars. Despite all the flaws and conflicts that defined human civilization, the countdown had begun, and the fate of 2 worlds hung in the balance. 36 hours after the portal closed, Marcus stood in the secure briefing room at Peterson Air Force Base, surrounded by some of the most powerful people in the American defense establishment. Getting this meeting had required calling in every favor and professional connection he had accumulated over his career. Colonel James Harrison, director of the Space Force's Advanced Technology Division, studied the quantum equations displayed on the wall-mounted screens. Beside him sat Dr. Sarah Mitchell, whose security clearance and reputation had legitimized Marcus's extraordinary claims. General Patricia Williams, commander of the North American Aerospace Defense Command, looked skeptical but intrigued. Mr. Chen, General Williams said finally, these calculations are impressive, but you're asking us to believe that extraterrestrial scouts will begin scanning Earth in less than 36 hours. I'm asking you to be prepared for that possibility, Marcus replied carefully. The quantum detection networks will either confirm or disprove my claims within the next day and a half. Colonel Harrison leaned forward. Let's assume for a moment that you're correct. What exactly are these aliens looking for? Evidence that humanity has developed quantum manipulation technology beyond what they consider normal for our level of civilization, Marcus explained. They want to see if we're ready for contact with advanced galactic societies. Dr. Mitchell activated another screen, showing real-time data from quantum research facilities around the world. I've been monitoring our major installations. We have significant quantum computing arrays, particle accelerators, and communication systems that should register as advanced technology. But will it be advanced enough? General Williams asked. Marcus hesitated, then decided on complete honesty.
That depends on how they interpret our military applications.
Quantum encryption for defense communications could be seen as sophisticated, peaceful technology, or as evidence that we're too militaristic for galactic society. You're saying our strengths might actually work against us? Colonel Harrison said grimly. It's possible. That's why I wanted to brief you on what to expect. If first contact happens, the way we respond in those first few minutes could determine humanity's future. General Williams stood and walked to the window overlooking the Colorado mountains. Mr. Chen, I've spent 30 years dealing with threats to American security. This is either the most elaborate hoax I've ever encountered, or the most important briefing in human history. General, in 18 hours, your quantum detection networks are going to light up like Christmas trees, Sarah said confidently. When that happens, you'll know Marcus is telling the truth. And if the scans do occur, Marcus added, we need to be ready to demonstrate our best technology while presenting ourselves as peaceful and cooperative. Colonel Harrison pulled up classified files on his tablet. Our quantum communication satellites are certainly advanced. The encryption protocols you developed, Mr. Chen, are genuinely revolutionary, but we also have quantum-enhanced missile guidance systems, satellite weapons platforms, and defensive arrays. Can those be downplayed during the evaluation? Marcus asked. Not easily. Most of our quantum technology has military applications. That's how it gets funded. General Williams turned back to the group. What exactly happens if we fail this test? Marcus exchanged glances with Sarah before answering. Permanent quarantine. Earth gets isolated from galactic civilization, prevented from advancing beyond our current technological level. We never develop faster than light travel, never explore beyond our solar system, never learn what's really out there. And if we pass, we get invited to join something called the Galactic Collective. Access to technologies that could solve every major problem facing humanity. Clean energy, space travel, advanced medicine, dimensional manipulation. At what cost? General Williams asked shrewdly. Responsibilities. We'd be expected to help protect developing civilizations, mediate conflicts between species, contribute to collective defense and knowledge. Colonel Harrison looked thoughtful. It sounds almost like a cosmic United Nations. With more power and higher stakes, Marcus confirmed, but also more opportunity than humanity has ever imagined. The room fell silent as everyone contemplated the magnitude of what they were discussing. Finally, General Williams returned to her seat. Mr. Chen, I'm going to authorize full monitoring of our quantum detection networks. If scanning beams appear as you predict, we'll know you're telling the truth. If they don't, we'll know you need medical attention. Fair enough, Marcus agreed, but I want contingency plans for both scenarios, the general continued. Dr. Mitchell, I want you coordinating with quantum research facilities worldwide. If this evaluation happens, I want our technology looking as impressive as possible. Understood, General. Colonel Harrison, prepare briefings for the President and Joint Chiefs. They need to know what might be coming. Yes, ma'am. And Mr. Chen, you're going to remain here as our expert consultant. If aliens do make contact, you're the only person who has actually communicated with them. Marcus nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. General, there's one more thing. When formal contact begins, they'll ask about the mathematics of dimensional stability. I need to share the exact equations I used to help stabilize their portal. Why? It's proof that the contact already happened. Only someone who has actually performed cross-dimensional quantum manipulation could create those specific algorithms. General Williams studied Marcus carefully. You're talking about revealing classified technology to an alien species. I'm talking about proving that humanity deserves to survive and advance, Marcus replied. Those equations might be the key to saving our entire civilization. Dr. Mitchell activated her monitoring systems and began coordinating with research facilities around the globe. Within hours, quantum detection networks from Australia to Norway were operating at maximum sensitivity, ready to detect the faintest energy signatures from space. As the hours passed, tension in the briefing room grew steadily. Marcus found himself checking the countdown timer obsessively, knowing that each passing minute brought them closer to the moment that would determine humanity's fate. Marcus, Sarah said quietly during a break in the preparations, what if the scans don't show up exactly when you predicted? What if the timing is different? Then we keep watching, Marcus replied. The alien said 72 hours, but interdimensional science might not be precise to the minute. And what if they decide we're not ready? What if our military technology makes us look too dangerous? Marcus looked out at the busy command center, where military officers and scientists worked side by side to prepare for humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. Then we hope that the faction that supports human advancement has enough influence to give us another chance. Those twin aliens you met, you really think they'll be able to help us? I think they'll try, but they warned me that not everyone in their civilization wants humanity to advance. Some see us as a potential threat. Sarah nodded soberly. Given our history of conflict and aggression, that's probably a reasonable concern. Which is why we need to prove that we're more than just our worst impulses, Marcus said. We need to show them that humanity is capable of growth, cooperation, and responsibility. As the final hours counted down, Marcus found himself thinking about the impossible chain of events that had led to this moment. A random portal accident had become humanity's greatest opportunity, but only if they could prove themselves worthy of it. The fate of every person on Earth now depended on convincing an alien evaluation team that humanity deserved a place among the stars. Marcus just hoped that the species that had produced both Shakespeare and nuclear weapons would be judged by its potential, rather than its past. The quantum detection networks hummed with anticipation, ready to detect the first signs of alien scanning beams. Soon they would know whether Marcus's incredible story was truth or delusion. Either way, the next few hours would change everything. The first scanning beam hit Earth's quantum detection networks at exactly 11:47 p.m. Mountain Time, 71 hours and 53 minutes after the portal had closed in Marcus's bedroom. The energy signature was unlike anything in the military's database, registering across multiple dimensional frequencies simultaneously. Contact, Dr. Mitchell called out from her monitoring station. Multiple detection sites are picking up coordinated scanning patterns. Energy signatures match theoretical predictions for advanced quantum manipulation technology. General Williams moved to the main display, watching as data streams from around the globe painted a picture of systematic alien surveillance. Pattern analysis? They're scanning major urban areas first, Colonel Harrison reported. New York, London, Tokyo, Beijing. The beams are specifically targeting quantum research facilities and military installations. Marcus felt his heart racing as vindication and terror warred in his chest. They're looking for our most advanced technology. This is exactly what I predicted. How long until they complete their survey? General Williams asked. Based on current scanning rates, approximately 6 hours for major population centers. Another 12 for comprehensive global coverage, Dr. Mitchell replied. Which means we have 18 hours to prepare for contact, Marcus said. If they like what they find, formal communication will begin shortly after the scans are complete. The next several hours passed in controlled chaos, as governments around the world were quietly briefed on the situation. The president was awakened at Camp David, the prime minister interrupted a state dinner in London, and emergency sessions convened in capitals across the globe. By dawn, a select group of world leaders knew that humanity was being evaluated by an advanced alien civilization. The decision was made to keep the information classified until the outcome was known, preventing global panic while maintaining readiness for rapid response. Scanning intensity is increasing over quantum research facilities, Dr. Mitchell reported as morning sunlight streamed through the command center windows. They're definitely interested in our advanced technology. Are we passing the test? Colonel Harrison asked. Marcus studied the energy patterns on the displays. The scanning beams are lingering over our most sophisticated installations. That suggests they're finding things worth investigating. Good things or concerning things. I won't know until they make contact. But the fact that they're taking their time suggests we're not being immediately dismissed as too primitive. General Williams received a secure communication and stepped away to take the call. When she returned, her expression was grim. That was the Secretary of Defense. The Russians and Chinese are detecting the same scanning patterns. Everyone wants to know if this is some kind of new weapon or surveillance technology. What did you tell them? Marcus asked. The truth, that we're being evaluated by an extraterrestrial civilization, and our response could determine the future of the human race. How did they react? About as well as you'd expect. The Russians think it's an American trick. The Chinese want to shoot down whatever is doing the scanning. The Europeans are calling for international cooperation. Marcus felt a sinking sensation in his stomach. General, if any nation tries to attack the scanning beams, it could be interpreted as aggressive behavior. That might disqualify our entire species. I'm aware of that, Mr. Chen. The President is personally calling world leaders to ensure everyone understands the stakes. The scanning continued throughout the day, with alien beams methodically cataloging human quantum technology across the globe. Advanced particle accelerators, quantum computing arrays, satellite communication networks, and experimental research projects all receive detailed examination. They're spending a lot of time on the quantum encryption satellites, Dr. Mitchell observed. The military communication network is getting the most thorough scan of any system they've examined. That could be good or bad, Marcus mused. They might see it as evidence of sophisticated technology, or as proof that we're too militaristic. Analysis suggests the scanning technology is incredibly advanced, Colonel Harrison added. They're penetrating quantum encryption that should be theoretically unbreakable. The implications for our security are staggering. If they wanted to harm us, they wouldn't need to scan first, Marcus pointed out. This is clearly an evaluation, not a prelude to attack. As evening approached, the scanning patterns began to change. Instead of broad surveys, the alien beams focused on specific installations with increasing precision. They're zeroing in on our most advanced projects, Dr. Mitchell reported. The Large Hadron Collider, the quantum communication satellites, the experimental fusion reactors. It's like they're double-checking their findings. Final verification phase, Marcus said with growing excitement. They're confirming that our technology is real and not some kind of deception. At 9:23 p.m., every quantum detection network on Earth registered a massive energy surge. The scanning beam suddenly intensified by several orders of magnitude, then abruptly shut off, leaving an eerie silence in their wake. All scanning activity has ceased, Dr. Mitchell announced. Complete radio silence from the source. Is that good or bad? General Williams asked. It means they've finished their evaluation, Marcus replied, his mouth dry with anticipation. Now we wait for their decision. The waiting was agonizing. Hours passed with no communication, no signals, no indication of what the alien evaluators had concluded about humanity's readiness for contact. Marcus found himself pacing the command center, unable to sit still while the fate of his species hung in the balance. Then, at exactly midnight Mountain Time, something extraordinary happened. A new signal appeared on the quantum detection networks, but this one was different. Instead of scanning beams, it was a coherent communication attempt, broadcasting on frequencies that perfectly matched the theoretical predictions for interdimensional messaging. Incoming transmission, Dr. Mitchell called out, her voice tight with excitement. Multiple carrier frequencies, quantum entangled data streams, dimensional encoding protocols I've never seen before. Can you decode it? General Williams asked. Working on it. The signal structure is incredibly sophisticated, but it's designed to be comprehensible to a species with our level of quantum technology. Marcus moved to Dr. Mitchell's station, watching as alien mathematics resolved into recognizable patterns. They're using the same translation protocols the twins demonstrated. The message will adapt to our understanding as we analyze it. After 20 minutes of careful decoding, the first words of humanity's first official alien communication appeared on the screens. Greetings to the quantum manipulators of the third planet. We are representatives of the Galactic Collective, investigating dimensional anomalies detected in your local space. Your technological capabilities exceed expected parameters for your civilization's development timeline. Formal contact protocols are now authorized. Please respond with verification of your quantum manipulation abilities. The command center erupted in barely controlled excitement. After decades of searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, contact had finally been made. They want us to prove our quantum capabilities, Marcus said, his heart racing. This is where we demonstrate the dimensional stabilization equations. General Williams nodded grimly. Dr. Mitchell, prepare a response transmission. Mr. Chen, you're our quantum expert. What exactly do we tell them? Marcus took a deep breath, knowing that his next words could determine whether humanity joined the galactic community or remained forever isolated. We tell them about the night two of their people accidentally opened a portal in my bedroom, he said. And we prove that human ingenuity saved both our species from a diplomatic disaster. As Marcus began dictating the quantum equations that had stabilized the dimensional portal, He realized that the impossible accident that had started this entire chain of events was about to become humanity's greatest triumph. The galaxy was waiting for Earth's response, and Marcus Chen held the key to unlocking humanity's future among the stars.